Nerve 3 and Nerve 7 of the parasympathetic system constrict pupils. Nerve 7 and Nerve 9 of the parasympathetic system stimulate flow of saliva. Nerve 10, or the vagus nerve of the parasympathetic system, constrict bronchi, slow heartbeat, stimulate peristalsis and secretion, and stimulate bile release. The pelvic nerves contract bladder. Organization of the brain. Hindbrain contains the cerebellum, medulla oblongata, and reticular formation. The midbrain contains the inferior and superior colliculi. The forebrain contains the thalamus, hypothalamus, basal ganglia, limbic system, and cerebral cortex. Parts of the forebrain. Thalamus, relay station for sensory information. Hypothalamus, maintains homeostasis and integrates with the endocrine system through the hypophyseal portal system that connects it to the anterior pituitary. Basal ganglia, smoothens movements and helps maintain postural stability. Limbic system, controls emotion and memory, includes septal nuclei, pleasure-seeking, amygdala, fear and aggression, hippocampus, memory, and fornix, communication within limbic system. The cerebral cortex is divided into 4 lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. The frontal lobe, executive function, impulse control, long-term planning, motor function, speech production. Parietal lobe, sensation of touch, pressure, temperature, and pain. Spatial processing, orientation, and manipulation. Occipital lobe, visual processing. Temporal lobe, sound processing, speech perception, memory, and emotion. The brain. Frontal lobe, primary motor cortex, primary somatosensory cortex, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, temporal lobe. Influences on behavior. Acetylcholine, voluntary muscle control, parasympathetic nervous system, attention, alertness. Epinephrine and norepinephrine, fight or flight responses, wakefulness, alertness. Dopamine, smooth movements, postural stability. Serotonin, mood, sleep, eating, dreaming. GABA, glycine, brain stabilization. Glutamate, brain excitation. Endorphins, natural painkillers. Sensation versus perception. Sensation is the conversion of physical stimuli into neurological signals, while perception is the processing of sensory information to make sense of its significance. Sensory receptors respond to stimuli and trigger electrical signals. Sensory neurons transmit information from sensory receptors to the CNS. Sensory stimuli are transmitted to projection areas in the brain, which further analyze the sensory input. Threshold, the minimum stimulus that causes a change in signal transduction. Weber's law states that the just noticeable difference for a stimulus is proportional to the magnitude of the stimulus, and this proportion is constant over most of the range of possible stimuli. Signal detection theory studies the effects of non-sensory factors such as experiences, motives, and expectations on perception of stimuli. Response bias examined using signal detection experiments with 4 possible outcomes: hits, misses, false alarms, and correct negatives. Adaptation, a decrease in response to a stimulus over time. The visual pathway: retina, optic nerve, optic chasm, optic tracts, lateral geniculate nucleus of thalamus, visual radiations, visual cortex. The ear transduces sound waves into electrical signals that can be interpreted by the brain. Auditory pathway: cochlea, vestibulocochlear nerve, medial geniculate nucleus of thalamus, auditory cortex. Object recognition: bottom-up processing. Data-driven: recognition of objects by parallel processing and feature detection, slower but less prone to mistakes. Top-down processing: conceptually driven, recognition of an object by memories and expectations, with little attention to detail, faster but more prone to mistakes. Gestalt principles: ways that the brain can infer missing parts of an image when it is incomplete. Learning and memory. Habituation: the process of becoming used to a stimulus. Dishabituation: occurs when a second stimulus intervenes, causing a resensitization to the original stimulus. Observational learning: the acquisition of behavior by watching others. Associative learning: pairing together stimuli and responses, or behaviors and consequences. Classical conditioning: a form of associative learning in which a neutral stimulus becomes associated with an unconditioned stimulus, such that the neutral stimulus alone produces the same response as the unconditioned stimulus. The neutral stimulus thus becomes a conditioned stimulus. Operant conditioning: a form of associative learning in which the frequency of a behavior is modified using reinforcement or punishment. Sleep disorders include dysomnias such as insomnia, narcolepsy, sleep apnea, and sleep deprivation, and parasomnias such as night terrors and sleepwalking. Consciousness-altering drugs. Drug addiction is mediated by the mesolimbic pathway, which includes the nucleus accumbens, medial forebrain bundle, and ventral tegmental area. Dopamine is the main neurotransmitter. Drug group: depressants. Function: sense of relaxation and reduced anxiety. Drug group: stimulants. Function: increased arousal. Drug group: opiates or opioids. Function: decreased reaction to pain, euphoria. Drug group: hallucinogens. Function: distortions of reality and fantasy, introspection. Piaget stages of cognitive development. Sensory motor stage: focuses on manipulating the environment to meet physical needs through circular reactions. Object permanence ends this stage. Pre-operational stage: focuses on symbolic thinking, egocentrism, and centration. Concrete operational stage: focuses on understanding the feelings of others and manipulating physical objects. Formal operational stage: focuses on abstract thought and problem solving. Problem solving and decision making. Problem solving techniques include trial and error, algorithms, deductive reasoning, and inductive reasoning, heuristics, biases, intuition, and emotions may assist decision making, but may also lead to erroneous or problematic decisions. Attention. Selective attention allows one to pay attention to a particular stimulus while determining if additional stimuli require attention in the background. Divided attention uses automatic processing to pay attention to multiple activities at one time. Language areas in the brain. Wernicke's area. Language comprehension. Damage results in Wernicke's aphasia. Broca's area. Motor function of speech. Damage results in Broca's aphasia. Arcuate vesiculus. Connects Wernicke's and Broca's areas. Damage results in conduction aphasia. Memory. Sensory memory, less than 1 second. Short-term memory, less than 1 minute. Long-term memory, lifetime. Explicit memory, conscious. Implicit memory, unconscious. Declarative memory, facts and events. Procedural memory, skills, tasks. Episodic memory, events, experiences. Semantic memory, facts, concepts. Encoding, the process of putting new information into memory. Facts are stored via semantic networks. Retrieval of information is often based on priming interconnected nodes of the semantic network. Recognition of information is stronger than recall.